Chapter 12. Prickle berries. Cal's first visit when the sea stallion landed back on Grand Bazaar was to his agent, Mr. Slee. The women were with him too, so he expected a gushing greeting, but that was not to be. Business quiet very, his agent said. Maybe it improving soon. Anything to keep the women busy, Cal said. Even if it isn't profitable. In past traders asking me cheap jobs. I saying no, but maybe gluing jobs together. Maybe. You leaving me I finding for you. The professor was right, Mia said as they walked away. His business is in a bad way, and the man himself is not well either. Worry. Cal said. Looking at shop displays for an hour was easy for the women but pure boredom for him. He survived imagining a future where he was the head in control of a large fleet of starships, moving freight to all corners of the galaxy. At least the women hadn't actually bought anything before they wandered back to Mr. Slee's office. Jobs I finding, but after pod charges they be nearly nothing. No paying even crew wages. I working route. Picking 5 empty pods here. Collecting stock 5 different planets. Bringing all back here. 400. Not worth even making paper, but must. We'll do it, Mia said. Ship ready to go when you are. What boss saying? Boss agreeing with second boss, Cal said. When we finish this job we get you onto our ship and my second boss will put you in our automedic. Much expense. Gift, Cal said. We want you fit. Old man, Mr. Slee said, waving his hands away from his sides. People thinking me finished. Not using. I knowing. We'll do these jobs, and then come and turn you back to a young man, Cal said. We pick up 5 empty pods. You going to ship? I sending details. We getting some work. Not finished yet. He's our freight controller, Mia said as they were on their way out of the main hall. It's all working as the professor said. And you? Cal said. You think he's right. I think it's a dream worth pursuing, and it's better to have an interesting life. And I like him too. When the message came, they all walked from the ship to the freight office at the bazaar. 4 people and 5 empty pods to move. We'll leave 1 here, Cal said. I'll come back and bring it. We should have brought a rope and tied 2 together, Kira said. We'll remember next time, Kyra added. It was the twins who ran back to bring the last pod, Cal busy with making sure they were secure while Mia calculated their course. By the time the freight ramp was secure and Cal was back on the control room, she was ready. 5 pickups scattered all around, but quite close. Less than 10 minutes of ether space time between them. Back in a few hours, Cal said. That can't be too bad. Lazy Days 7, 4th planet, is first, Mia said. Your engineers are ready for work, Kyra said. Hatches all locked, Cal said. Blast off. Mia called laughing, and she engaged the thrusters. The 4th planet of Lazy Days 7 looked pretty from orbit, a pleasing sight of green and blue and a smattering of light brown. The receiving contact was ready for them and Mia set the sea stallion down amongst 3 much larger ships. With the freight ramp down, Cal could see a freight collecting point, and with help from the twins, the 3 pushed an empty pod down the ramp and pointed it toward the collection point. Here to pick up a pod for Bazaar Mixed Foods, Cal said to a barely awake man leaning against the side of the entrance. Ask for Jamus, the man mumbled, still leaning. Cal and the twins moved deeper into the building, the scent of exotic fruits filling the air, and rows of pods lining either side of the passageway they were walking along. Jamus? Cal asked the next person he saw. That man pointed in the distance. White hat. Cal kept on walking and eventually the passageway opened and the scent of ripe fruit was even stronger, and there was a man in a white hat talking to 3 others. Cal waited respectfully until the meeting ended and Jamus came toward them. A pod for Bazaar Mixed Foods. Empty pod left in doorway. This place smells delicious, Kira said. Jamus paused and turned to face her. Better than our kitchen, Kyra added. You be interested in fresh supplies? Jamas said, looking between the three of them. We'd like to know more, Cal said. Something to investigate. My office. It's quieter. Cal hadn't noticed the machinery noise, the aroma had been that entrancing. Mainly fruits now, Jamas said as the three followed him into his office. Just move those boxes. Fresh, dried, preserved or bases for auto kitchen use. Here. Try these prickle berries. Jamas opened a small box and handed the contents of green furry berries around. I could eat them all day, Kira gushed as she bit into one, her sister scrambling to copy. Different produce throughout the year. These are fresh right now, but only for another month. What sort of order quantity? Cal asked. Jamas searched on his desk and found a sheet that he held out toward Cal. Minimums on this, but I'm flexible, as long as you can fill a pod and pay for it. You might be interested in a sample pack to start. 40 gets you a good sample of our range, then message an order, and we'll usually have it packed in 2 hours. I'll have the sample pack, Cal said. Maybe twins go back and get the plastic for this sale. Appreciated, Jamas said as the girls ran out the room. Just help, he nodded after the twins. My engineers, Cal said. Young but keen. Give me your terminal and I'll get you on our special list. Tells you what's in season right now and what surpluses we're selling cheap. When the twins returned, Cal was laid down with a large box of samples while Jamas was pushing the order pod. That's our job, Kyra yelled, taking control of the pod while Cal handed over the 40 plastic. Deal's done, it was out the building and the pod secured while the twins managed to get the sample box into the control room and open the top looking for the treasures. Smells good, Mia said as she tried to see through the twins' heads. We want the prickle berries, Kira said. Half each, Kyra said. Do I get one? Mia asked. You can have one of hers, Kira said. At least Cal began to unpack the box carefully, spreading the produce over the bed. As well as the fresh fruit, there were pouches of dried and sweet preserved fruit pieces and small packets of dried bases for auto kitchens. Unfortunately there was only one pack of prickle berries, and they didn't last beyond 2 minutes. I can see you thinking, Mia said to Cal. That berry was very good. Everyone has to eat. I know there's not much margin on produce, and it can go bad, but it's a regular item, and it's legal, and it's not so expensive that other people would fight us for it. You thinking more than just transporting it? Bulk warehouse. Ship in bulk from each supplier, then make up small packets to other shops, and maybe set up our own direct outlet. Need a lot of ships and people though. It would need an army of people and a flotilla of ships. A business that would be too big to touch. What would we do? Supervise the overall business while we explore for new supplies and new outlets and find more prickle berries. We want to go and see Jamas and buy some more, Kira said. We can run. Go, Cal said. We'll sample some of these other things while we wait. You know they are going to spend all the proceeds of this trip, Mia said as the twins were fighting to get through the main hatch together. We've already struck gold. This trip has well and truly paid for itself. The twins returned with enough prickle berries to last them a lifetime. He only said 20 plastic, Kira said. We think he wants us to buy lots more from him, Kyra said. We think we should. We'll need plenty of these for our own cooking. Try this preserved orgy fruit, Mia said. I think they're even better. Back to real work, Cal said loudly. Treasure stored and let's do the next pickup. 4 more planets with pickups at very similar looking businesses. In each place the same thing happened. With very little prompting Cal was offered bulk supplies of so many different fruits and vegetables that he was quickly losing count. Every place had sample boxes and were keen for him to be added to their mailing list, and when the 5th pod was strapped into the freight hold, even the twins had decided they didn't need to taste another sample for at least a week. Lucky I didn't eat so much, Mia said, taunting the girls. I only ate small portions. Back to Grand Bazaar, Cal said. Let's get these pods delivered and paid for. With 2 pods roped together, all 5 pods were pushed into the freight office at Grand Bazaar, the men behind the counter remembering the twins. At least they quickly processed the pods, and for a second, Cal had 400 credits in his account. We're slipping through to see my agent, Cal said, shepherding the others to the back door into the bazaar. Going well, Mr. Slee said. Women looking good too. You ready to visit the doctor? Cal asked. We're the assistant nurses, Kira said before he could answer. No business yet today. Maybe closing now I doing. We'll take you out the back way, Kira said. That's part of our job. Waiting. Turning off I must. The trip back to the Sea Stallion took longer than the walk in with the freight. Mr. Slee was making hard going of the walk and Cal kept his pace slow to match. When they got close to the ship, Cal asked the twins to run ahead and open the freight ramp, thinking it would be easier to walk up rather than the steps to the main hatch. Even so, Cal had hold of one of Mr. Slee's arms as they painfully crept up the slope of the ramp, and the twins were ready on the main floor to take over. Assistant nurses will take over now, Kira said. While Chief Nurse Mia makes ready. Mr. Slee was puffing hard as he got to the door of the automedic room. Fancy machine he managed to get out. Undressing. All out for now, Mia said. I'll call you if you're needed. Another huddle on the other side of the closed door, but not much to be heard. It seemed to Cal that Mr. Slee had undressed and Mia had helped him up to the treatment table. A series of beeps indicated there were several treatments needed, and then the door was open and visitors were allowed. Machine saying fixing legs it can do, the patient said. Both knees, Mia said. One now and another in another week. Also man parts too, she smiled. We know all about fixing man parts, Kira said. We can do that easy, Kira added. We did his. She was pointing to Cal's groin. The work today is long, and he won't be able to move for 10 hours, the machine says. If you having time. Is good. Anyone expecting you that we should tell? Cal asked. Alone. The machine is saying it will rebuild bone and cartilage in his knee to make it like new, but we need to use a knee support from the shelf of parts. Us assistant nurses know all about that, Kira said, both twins fighting to get the correct support. It looked like a wedge that they fitted under both knees, bending the legs to make the knee stick up ready for work. Relax. You are in good hands, Mia said, pushing the control, and Mr. Slee was still while the machine began its whirring. Cal wandered out and to the control room, soon joined by Mia. The girls are watching him. Maybe I'll ask him about fruit when he has recovered a little. He might need a hover scooter to get back after this treatment, Mia said. I could borrow a pod and push him in that, the girls would like doing that. I think we need him working for us sooner rather than later, Mia said seriously. He needs to know we'll not let him go like others did. We'll talk when he recovers, though we won't be able to offer him any office space for a while. It will only be days. Maybe a week at the most. I've seen how quickly things happen when you set your mind to it. Not everything, he said, looking into her eyes. But I live in hope. It says he needs to lie down for 10 more hours, Kira said when the automedic finally stopped working, Mr. Slee awake but only just. You could carry him to the bed. I'll make it ready, Kira said, racing to the spare room and opening the covers. I suppose I need to carry, Cal said, coming close to the treatment table and deciding how best to hold the naked man. Someone hold his legs. Cal and Mia managed to carry Mr. Slee and lower him onto the spare bed, then the assistant nurses fussed about making him comfortable. One to keep close and watch, he's still good, Cal said. I think I need a good rest myself after all this. The patient woke just before the 10 hours, sitting up in bed and declaring that he felt like he was 20 years younger. Best sleeping I doing in years. Repaying you I must be doing. After we've fixed your other leg, you can repay us by considering working for us as our freight controller, Cal said. We're setting up a warehouse and maintenance space and will need a good man to take charge of all the papers and orders and freight movements. You think you might like that job? Working only for you I doing. Helping us grow to be a big business. You know freight and you know people. We only know starships and getting freight moved. Many details we need to discuss, but I know we can work away so all us are happy. Truth you needing knowing. I ashamed saying. Working bad for me. Customers say too old. Say not with modern ways. Only customers those with difficult freight. I not best for you. We like you, Mia said quite firmly. We know you are a good man and would never cheat us. We trust you to do the best to make a great business, and in return we'll try our best to give you a great life. Wife you should being. He needing you. We have some time to think about the idea, Cal said. Time to begin clearing your office and preparing for a new life. He needs food first, Kira said. We'll get some for you, Kyra said. We know what you will like. Two-headed snake rolls, Mia and Cal said together. With prickle berries, Kira added. It became a family meal, the twins carrying plates of food and everyone crammed into the small room while Cal told of his idea of setting up a distribution business for produce. Then the twins told of their ideas of a business name and colors and Mia told of how if they had a big business with many people and ships, that would make them almost untouchable from the imperial rulers. Mr. Slee took in everything graciously, asking questions where appropriate and offering some ideas of his own as what would be needed. In the end, there was really only one problem. Much credits this needed. How we getting? Piece by piece, Cal said. Start small and put all profit into the business. We have our first warehouse coming in weeks, and we will start getting some of our own supplies when we deliver for other people. Maybe we continue by doing more of that cheap work like yesterday. We get some credits to pay loan, but also information and samples to use for first trials. You quick with freight. Express service for slow rate. Not fair, but maybe it good. We like testing the samples, Kyra said. You'll get fat, Mia said. Fruit won't make us fat, Kira said. Good for bathroom, Mr. Slee laughed. Maybe I going to now. Half a day after the knee surgery, Cal helped Mr. Slee down from the ship and into his office in the bazaar, while the others fussed after him, making sure he was able to get around his office by himself. Half me feel new man, he said. Trying to getting you more working I be. Calling you I doing. Mia decided she wanted to try to find the surgical things to use for removing implants, so they all wandered through the medical aisles, her asking questions until she found a small emergency wound kit that included a scalpel, disinfectant and plastic gloves. Cheap and designed for only one use, she bought a pack of 10 of the kits. Cal suggested visiting the produce area to check prices, and that proved to be a profitable visit. Even with many traders all competing with basically the same items, prices were higher than he thought. Prickle berries were there, on special too, but still 3 times the price they had paid. Of course those traders had to factor in the cost of freight, but I think you might be right about your business idea, Mia whispered. Still some details to talk about, but the idea should work. Biggest problem will be staff eating all the profits, Cal said. They were still aimlessly wandering through the bazaar when Cal's terminal beeped. Mr. Slee had found more work. Produce again, but 6 pods and 4 pickups, but he had got them up to 500 credits. Like last time they had to pick up empty pods from here to take, so Cal led the others to the back way into the freight office. For now and the girls will come to grab the last 2, he said to the man at the counter who entered the details on his screen. What's the deal with these pods? Mia asked as she watched what was happening. Pods all rented. About 5 credits a day each, plus hire fee. Today you'll get charged until you return 6 pods of the same size back to us here. So if the trip takes a long time, that would add up to a lot of additional cost. If you buy your own, save all that, the man said, looking up to face Mia. but they're not cheap. Over 10 thou each that size. Used ones? Cal asked. The man shook his head. Clapped out by then. Save the trouble. All done now. Don't get them back too quick, he laughed. With an empty pod each, the four of them pushed toward the sea stallion where Cal positioned them while the women went back to get the last two. 6 pods in the hold was a squeeze, making it very difficult to lash the pod's doors together, so Cal didn't for once. Back in the control room, Mia told the path she had chosen. First is 2 pods for Lazy Days 7. Then 1 pod each to 2 new places, then the last 2 pods to that place that had those long green things. Snake melons, Kyra said quickly. We haven't tried them yet, Kira added. They're covered with red spots that look like snake eyes. Well, someone must like them, Cal said. 2 pods full anyway. Another quite quick trip, and another chance at learning about their possible new business. Of course there were more sample packs and offers to join mailing lists and learn one of the secrets of the produce business he hadn't even thought he needed to know. All of the places he was going to basically produced the same range of produce, but since they were all in different climate cycles, their seasons seemed to run on. When the season for prickle berries ended in Lazy Days 7, it was just beginning on Victoria Lake 2. After that season it was Arik Webb's turn. In that way there were very little gaps in supply, providing you kept shifting your buying to the right planet. He also found more about pods. That was a key to the business he could see. The right pods would keep their contents in tip-top condition for a long time. The higher pods they were using now were not the best. Fine for quick trips where the contents would be unloaded the same day, but for top performance, it was best to own the good pods. The big companies left some of their pods with the producers to be packed when needed. It saved time, but meant you needed a large pool of pods. Cal found the name of the supplier of the best pods and he went as far as calling them direct. They sent colorful brochures and price lists that he transferred to the big screen for all to study. They'll do them in our colors, Kyra said excitedly. And our logo too, Kira added. 23,000 each, Mia said sighing. I think we'll be renting for a while more, Cal said. The Sea Stallion Book 1. Big Dreams but No Credits. A Space Adventure. By Mystic Alchemist. Copyright 2023-2024 Mystic Alchemist. All rights reserved. Written in Australian English. This book is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places and incidents are either a product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual people living or dead, events or locales is purely coincidental. Cover and text written and assembled by hand without use of artificial intelligence.